The South Africa company, the British South Africa company of Cecil Rhodes, created so much of the economy of South Africa that we see today. And this has been taken over by other companies, not least the ones controlled by the Oppenheimer family, who seem to me to be the Illuminati's branch managers in South Africa. They are involved in the Anglo-American Corporation, in De Beers, the diamond operation. Then there's another offshoot of the Rhodes network, which is the Lawn Row Company, London Rhodesia Company, which to me has grotesquely manipulated and abused Africa since its creation. What's your view of this post-Rhodes network that so controls South Africa today?
In answering your question, I want to be very, very fair, because my philosophy as an African warrior priest commands me to be fair even to my deadliest enemies. The Anglo-American Corporation has done a lot of good in South Africa during the course of its existence. Sir Ernest Oppenheimer assisted in the building of several townships near Johannesburg. He did not do it for love, of course. He did not do it for altruistic reasons. But the fact was that on a massive scale, he and his company created roofs over the heads of many black families. In fact, a large part of Soweto, near Johannesburg, is his company's creation. But the Anglo-American Corporation also has a lot to answer for in front of the throne of God. This corporation has caused the deaths of hundreds, if not thousands, of black men in its mines. Now let me tell you, sir, a very, very heart-rending thing. I have evidence that can stand in any court that organizations such as the Anglo-American Corporation often overthrow African governments by what I call remote control. Not so long ago, a great friend of mine, Dr. Hastings Kamuzu Banda, was overthrown in Malawi. He was overthrown by mobs going on the rampage in nearly every city in his country. Before the overthrow of Dr. Banda, the Anglo-American Corporation and other gold mining corporations in South Africa had barred hundreds of Malawian miners from coming to seek a living in South Africa in the only way they know how, namely by mining. Why? Because it was believed that many Malawian gold miners suffer from AIDS. And when Dr. Banda's government was overthrown, amongst the thousands of people who stormed into the streets of Blantyre and other cities were enraged men who had been refused the right to come to South Africa to earn a living there. Again and again, I have seen this happen. Before the tragedy in Lesotho, mine workers were retrenched from the gold mines. And many of these mine workers were Basutus. They went to Lesotho, and there, when the country collapsed after the rigged elections of about a year ago, mine workers took to the streets and created the violence that brought about the demise of the Basotho nation which we see today.
What about Lonro and its influence in Tiny Roland, its late and infamous head?
Is he dead?
Yeah.
Roland?
Mm-hmm.
Well. I wonder what he's going to say to Nkulunkulu, the great God, when he comes to the land of the ancestors. You know, sir, it's very strange that men like Roland are just as perishable as we all are. Roland was a genocide. He and his corporation were behind many of the bloodiest wars and coups d'etat in Africa. Wherever there was war, wherever there was the smuggling of heavy armaments, such as tanks and artillery pieces, there you heard the name Lonro. Tiny Roland was a man whom I had heard about during the war, a man who openly sympathized with the Nazis. Tiny Roland was a man who was directly behind the seizure of the country Rhodesia by Mr. Ian Smith, so-called UDI. He either facilitated it or he was directly responsible for it. Tiny Roland was one white man whom thousands of black people hated throughout Southern Africa.